Author's purpose. In this lesson, you will be able to determine author's purpose for writing a particular text. And in the second part of this lesson, you'll identify elements of style within a text. Author's purpose is the reason that the author writes or makes a poem or sings a song or makes a movie. The author could be the creator, the publisher, the filmmaker, and they make their literature, their prose, their media, commercials, all these things are created with some purpose in mind. So none of the things that you read or watch are made just for no reason at all. Typically, they fall into one of three pretty simple categories, and those three basic categories are entertainment, persuasion, or or information. So let's learn about those three. Uh, the first and probably the most common is author's purpose is to entertain you. So typically that will mean telling you a story of some kind. Most songs fall into this category. If you turn on your television and your favorite sitcom is Modern Family or Power or Empire, um, all of those things are created to entertain you. They aren't necessarily made to try to change your mind about anything. They aren't trying to teach you a lesson of some sort. It's really just there for you to get a laugh or feel connected to a character and you feel sorry for them if something bad happens. But the general purpose is entertainment. And when I say entertainment, I don't want you to think that means that it will always be happy, because I know that when we think entertainment, we typically think happy, and that's not necessarily the case. I mean, you could totally watch a movie, be entertained, and feel sad when it's over, and that's okay. The second, purpose is to inform. And when we say inform, let me close this. When we say inform, we mean to teach you something, right? The author is going to describe how something looks, how something sounds, how something feels, how it works, how it's made. Um, maybe you watch a step-by-step video about how to tie your shoe, or to tie a necktie, or to braid hair, or to cook fried chicken, right? So the end result is that you learn something. So the author is attempting to teach you something. You're watching it, reading it, listening to it because you want to learn something. Kind of like the purpose of this video is that you learn what author's purpose is and what it looks like. The third, and one of my favorites, is to convince you of something, meaning to persuade. When authors or creators attempt to persuade you, they're basically trying to make you believe what they believe. If you turn on your television and you put I don't care what channel you go to, if the TV's on for more than 30 minutes, you are almost guaranteed to see at least one commercial that's trying to sell you car insurance or to convince you to go eat fast food at a restaurant. When you see that Burger King commercial, they're attempting to tell you that, hey, you should take the money that's in your pocket or in your bank account connected to a debit card or whatever and go spend it at Burger King. You should want to go buy 10 chicken nuggets for $1.49. You should want to spend your hard-earned money on Geico insurance as opposed to Allstate or State Farm. All of those folks are trying to convince you to believe something. There's certain news channels you can watch, and they're basically trying to tell you that, hey, you should believe what we believe, or you should look at this thing that happened in the world, or this thing that our president said, or one of the senators said. You should see it the way that we see it, right? You could watch two different news stations report the same story. One of them is going to see that event in one way or from one perspective. The other news station can see it from a completely different perspective, right? But in either case, when you watch their reporting of that event, they're trying to convince you that, hey, you should believe or see this thing the way that we see it. Author's purpose is pretty much always revealed through the way they describe or discuss a topic. For instance, the purpose is to amuse you. The author is going to use jokes or anecdotes. Anecdotes are sort of personal stories. The audience learns what the author believes by his or her perspective on a topic. And finally, clues to an author's purpose can be found in the titles of texts, stories, movies, in the prefaces, meaning those first couple pages of a text, usually textbooks or novels or informational text, right? And author's background